Have you ever thought of making every single enemy not shoot you at all? Well, this build will blind everything around you. You're also going to use this legendary weapon that could stun all champions. For this build, you don't really need to use an exotic. The full build will be on screen or in the description. If you guys would like to see more build videos, feel free to hit that like button and also subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. Let's first start with the exotic armor. If you want to blind everything around you, you will need to equip this exotic chest piece called Vesper of Radius. When you activate your rift, it will release an arc shockwave that will deal damage and will also periodically blind all enemies around you within 15 meters. When an enemy dies by your arc shockwave, they will explode, and the shockwave will periodically release every 5 seconds. The blinding effect from your rift will only work on an arc subclass. Depending on how many enemies are near you, you're going to get a certain amount of class ability energy. If you are surrounded by 3 enemies, you'll receive 250% class ability regeneration, and the more that are around you, the more you will receive class ability regeneration. So the maximum you can get is 1500% class ability regeneration if 6 or more enemies are around you. I did mention that you can stun all champions with one weapon, and that weapon is called the Indebted Kindness. You can farm this sidearm in the first encounter of the Warlord's Ruin dungeon. So here are the perks that you would need to use to make this build even better. In the third column, be sure to go for lead from gold, because whenever you pick up a heavy brick, it will also grant 25% ammo to this sidearm. And on the fourth column, be sure to go for Volt Shot. When you reload after getting a kill, you will jolt the next target you hit. When Volt Shot is procced, it will last up to 7 seconds or until the weapon hits a target. This is the perk that will allow you to stun overload champions. To stun anti-barrier champions, you will need to pick up the anti-barrier sidearm in the first column of the seasonal artifacts. To stun unstoppable champions, we need to use this fragment called the Spark of Beacons. Whenever we get an arc special kill, it releases a blinding explosion on the defeated target, which then blinds nearby targets, including unstoppables. Make sure that an enemy is near an unstoppable champion if you do want to stun it. There are other ways to stun each champion with this build, but the build mainly focuses on this sidearm. Let me show you what I was using for the Stormcaller subclass. For the class ability, I'm using Healing Rift. When you cast your Rift, you will get a 20% damage reduction, and you'll also receive 45 HP per second while inside the Healing Rift. But if you are at full HP, you will then get an overshield up to the maximum of 15. So you would get 3 overshield per second. As for the grenades, I chose to put the blinding grenade just to fit the theme for the build. You could choose another grenade if you like. The 2 aspects you're going to want to use are Arc Soul and Electrostatic Mind. When you cast your Rift, you will spawn a little Arc Soul buddy that will shoot enemies in front of you. It lasts up to 15 seconds and will shoot a 3-round burst. When someone enters the Rift again, the timer will refresh. If you are amplified, your Arc Soul will now become stronger, shooting 5 rounds, and it will shoot faster. Teammates who enter your Rift will also get an Arc Soul, and they will also provide you class ability energy depending on how many teammates are near you. If one person is near you, you will get a 40% class ability regeneration rate, and if 3 or more teammates are near you, you will get 120% class ability regeneration. If your Arc Soul were to get a kill, it will drop an Ionic Trace that will grant you 12.5% grenade and melee energy, and you would also get 15 class ability energy. This will happen because of the next aspect called Electrostatic Mind. If you get arc ability kills, it will drop an Ionic Trace, and you will also become amplified when picking up an Ionic Trace. When you are amplified, you will gain plus 50 mobility and 33% increased slide distance, and finally a plus 40 handling boost for 15 seconds. If you have the speed booster, you will gain a 50% movement speed increase, and you would also jump 25% higher, and you would also receive a 15% damage resistance while running. To activate the speed booster, you need to be amplified and then run for 2 seconds. If you stop while you have the speed booster, it will go away. Let me show you the other fragments I was using. The first one is called the Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by 3 or more enemies within 15 meters, you will get a 25% damage reduction in which it lingers for 2 seconds. You will also get plus 10 strength. The second one is Spark Spark of Discharge. Arc weapon kills will drop an Aeonic Trace. Minor enemies have a 34% chance, elites have a 67% chance, and mini-bosses or bosses have a 100% chance to drop an Aeonic Trace. And you would also get minus 10 strength. The last fragment you need is Spark of Ions. Killing jolted targets will drop an Aeonic Trace, but the cooldown is 10 seconds. The only one you can be able to proc this fragment is with the Indebted Kindness. If you are one of those gamers that are curious to know what exotic weapon I was using for this build, I chose to put Wishkeeper just because of more crowd control. So whenever you would land a precision hit and a final blow, it will build up energy towards a Snare Weaver that can be fired from the hip. On impact, the Snare Weaver arrow will create a pattern of traps that will suspend nearby targets. So if you were to get a final blow, it would give you 1 charge, but if you were to get a precision final blow, it would give you 2 charges. If you are dealing with a yellow bar enemy and you were to get precision hits, it would also grant you a charge. This weapon will also deal bonus damage to enemies that are suspended, and as they are suspended, you would gain a faster draw time speed for a short duration, and if any enemy is suspended by any source, you will get these benefits. And for the Catalyst socket, I do recommend going for multi-threaded snare refit because your Snare Weaver traps can suspend more targets. You could also enhance this bow even further with the seasonal artifacts. Primarily just these two, and the first one is Unraveling Orbs. Whenever we were to pick up an Orb of Power, it would give your strand weapons unraveling rounds. And lastly, on the 5th column, it is called Horde Shuttle. Whenever we were to damage a unraveled target with a weapon, it will occasionally spawn a Threadling. And for the power weapon, you can choose any arc weapon you like, but for me, I chose to put the Hothead. And I know many people do not have the Hothead, and here is my other recommendation. For me personally, I don't have it, but if I did, I would use it. So be sure to go for, I'm gonna butcher this name, but go for Hullabaloo or Hullabaloo, however you want to call it. Go for that grenade launcher because of the origin trait. It is called the Class Contender. Final blows with this weapon will grant class ability energy. And yes, that is an event weapon, so not many people really have it. So you could also go for a arc rocket launcher or an arc LMG. In this case, you can go for Crux Termination 6, or you can go for Song of Iryu. And the stats for the build, your main priority is to go for recovery because we are on Warlock, so it will reduce the cooldown of our class ability. We would also increase the speed at which you regain lost health, so you will regain lost health faster. And your second priority is resilience, which will give you a 30% damage reduction if you have tier 10. If you made it this far into the video, I would like to say thank you. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more Destiny 2 builds on the channel. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, evening, or afternoon. Take care and peace. Join the Discord! If you need help in Destiny 2, follow my live streams.